Hello, welcome again. It is your favorite math tutor, Dwight Dunn, owner of Dunn's Tutoring. Again, you can check my website out at www.dun-tutoring. And my contact number again is 980-320-5444. Now, today we're going to address a specific topic that is very popular, which is to use a Ti84 calculator to calculate a number of things, to figure out the zeros of a particular equation, the max, the min. We're going to calculate specific values. We're going to look at the derivatives and integrals relating specifically to this particular problem we're going to be working on. Now, one of the biggest problem that we have with things like these is that very often students are not aware of how to evaluate each of these quickly using the Ti84 calculator. So some problems, like a polynomial of this sort, doesn't have a particular, it's a possibility that you can have a situation where you are trying to find a solution and you cannot use an algebraic means to find a solution. Fortunately, this one you can, but it's a nice problem to play around with. So with that, I'm going to dig now deeply into our famous thing right here, calculator etiquette. So we're going to address these issues now. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to look at, the Ti84 calculator, if you can see, we're going to enter this equation in the Ti84 calculator. So the easiest way to do this, we're going to hit y equal to, let me clear out my calculator right here. So y equal to, first equation right here, we're going to enter in x to the fourth minus 12, so not 12, 2x to the third. Then we're going to have minus 13x squared. Now we're going through the process of entering each term, but I still want to go through it because I want to make sure you understand how to enter these terms pretty easily. Plus 14x plus 24. Now, point to note, with this being the equation here, notice that if I enter that in y1, this equation will be stored. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a number of things. I'm going to now try to figure out the max. I'm going to try to figure out the zeros, figure out any min that this function may have. Also, we're going to try to do specific derivatives of this particular function again, and also evaluate specific values for this function identified. All right, so let's dig into it now. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to now to try to evaluate certain values of this function. Now, irrespective of how complicated the function is, what I'm going to do in a minute can be used for any function, either it being quadratic, logarithmic, exponential, linear, it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do right now is applicable to every problem. Now, one of the biggest challenge here, say for instance, I was supposed to evaluate this particular function at x equal to 3. It would be very, very time consuming to be entering 3 for x for all the values there. This is not a bad function, but you can see where I'm going with this. If the function gets very, very nasty or very big or uglier and have multiple parts, you realize the plug-in x can be very time consuming. So to cut down that amount of time, especially if you're doing the praxis exam for teachers, or you're doing AP calculus or whatever course that you're doing, it's time consuming to actually go through and work and enter all of those values for x. So as a result, we're going to show you a pretty fast way to calculate the values for this particular function. So if I have the function in now, what I'm going to hit second, quit. Now, what I want to do now, if I want to evaluate the function at a particular value, what I'm going to do is hit alpha, trace, And once I hit alpha trace, I hit y1. And to evaluate that particular function, all I do is put a parentheses, put any value. Let's start out with 5. So for 5, we'll close parentheses, and notice that's given me the value. So that is the value of the specific function that we entered into y1 at x equal to 4. Let's do another value. Say, for instance, I want to do something fractional. So if it alpha trace, hit that, y1, open parentheses. I'm going to put something fractional. So I put 0.77777, and to evaluate the function at that particular value, I hit enter, and that gives me the value of the function at that particular value. Now, second part of this situation. Now, say I want to calculate the zeros for this particular function. Very common problem that a lot of students have to do. They have to find the zeros. How do I find the zeros? So let's jump into it. The easiest way to do it would be to go back. If I go back to the graph, that would be the graph for the function. Now, if I look at the graph for the function, I realize that some of this information is cut off. So what I may do is change the windows to get my y values, and I need some x values as well. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit window. Now the min, I'm going to carry the min to around, let's play around, to about negative 10. And I'm going to carry the max to around positive 10, right? And the min value for the y, notice the negative 10 there wasn't enough. If I look back at the graph, let me go back to the graph. So if I look at the graph right now, I realize that I'm still cutting off some of the y values. So what I'm simply going to do is actually change my window to accommodate some of the y values. So I know then my y values must be, I need to include more negative values. So go back to the graph, hit window. What I'm going to do here, the max is okay. Let's get the min and put it around negative 30. Now you can change these windows to actually accommodate the values. So the only thing you need to do is remember this x min is the min value, x max is the max value for the x. This is a scale, so we know that it's going to be going up by 1, and it's the same thing for the y. All right, so if I hit graph again, I realize now I'm capturing the graph. All right, so we're going to hit a few things now on the graph. Now let's figure out how we find each zeros. Now I'm not going to do all of them. I'm going to do one of the zero, and then you're going to realize that the process to find the zeros is pretty much the same irrespective of the situation. All right, so let's take the first one. So what I'm going to do again, I'm going to hit now second calc, and let's first go to the 0. Now by looking in the graph, it is obvious that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. However, I'm just going to find one of these zeros, and the process that you're going to do is going to be the same. So if I need this 0 right here, what I simply can do is bring my cursor to the left of the point. So left bound must go to the left of the point. Once you go to the left of the point that you need for the 0 there, hit enter. Then you go to the right of the 0. Then you hit enter, right? And then once you're right there, to the right of the point, you hit enter again, and that gives you the 0 exactly. So the 0 right there, one of my 0 right there that I need, is going to be x equal to negative 1. Now, if you need to find the other zeros, the process is pretty much the same. Let's do one more, just to make sure you understand the process. Now, with this, if I want another 0, so again, I hit second calc, need a 0, so we hit 0. Left bound, let's go to the left of that 0 right here. Make sure we're a little bit to the left of the point. Hit enter, go to the right of the 0, then hit enter. Good, then hit enter again, so that will give me the point exactly. So x equal to 2 is my other 0. So that is how we find the zeros using the Ti84 calculator. All right, pretty easy stuff once you get the hang of it and know how to do these things pretty easily. All right, so let's get it going now. All right, so to move on from that now, say we're going to now switch to maximum or minimum points. Now, the process to find a maximum or minimum point is pretty much the same. We going to use the same function. So with this, I'm going to hit second again, calc, and with second and calc, I now want to look at the max. So let's take, say for instance, let's start with the min, and then we just go in order. So for the min right here, we obviously realize that there's a min value right there, and there's a min value right here. So because there's a min value right here and a min value right there, what I can do is try to figure out which one first. So let's do the one to the right. So to do the one to the right, what I'm going to do again, I'm going to hit second, calc, again, go min, just make sure you understand that. Now notice we say left bound. It must be to the left of the point. It doesn't matter where it is as long as it's a little bit to the left. So it can be at any point as long as it's to the left of the point. So we know it's going to be somewhere there for it to be reasonable. Carry it somewhere there, and that would be good. Once we hit the left bound, we hit enter. Then once we do that, we go to the right of the point, hit enter. Once we hit enter, we're to the left, to the right, then we hit enter again. So we get the minimum value at x equal to approximately 3.192583 and y equal to -25. So that would be representing my minimum value. To get the maximum value, the process would be pretty much the same. So we hit second, calc, scroll down to max, so that's number 4, hit enter. Good. Notice that's my left bound. So all I need to do is bring my cursor to the left of that point because I'm trying to find a max. Hit enter. Good. Go to the right of my point. Hit enter. And then hit enter again. And that would be my max value. So x would be approximately 0.50000016 and y would be 27.5625. Okay, so that's what we have done. So what we have addressed so far, we have found the zeros, the max, the min, and we have compute specific values. Now the next thing that we want to do, if we store the function in y1, we can do so many different things with the functions. So say for instance, I want to now find the derivative at a particular point for this function. What I could do, hit second mode quit. And when I hit second mode quit, what I want to do now, I want to find the derivative. So to find the derivative, what I can do is hit math, go to nth derivative, and I want to find the derivative for that function at, say, x equal to 7. So let's see what happens. So all I would need to do right here, put my x, right? I need y1. So to get back y1, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit alpha, trace, that will get me my y1, hit enter. So that's going to be my y1. So that was my function that I stored in as y1. Now again, I can look at it. If I look at my graph, that was my y1 right there. So to be very clear. So to do that, we will find a derivative at a particular point. We have d by dx y1, and then we need to calculate it at a particular point. So if I go over right here, say I want to calculate it at 2, that would be it, and I get my value. So that would be the derivative for the function that I just established before at x equal to 2. Now I could do the same thing for the integral. Say I want to calculate my integral for that same function. What I simply could do again, hit math, scroll all the way down to integral, hit enter. Say for instance I want to find the integral, say from 0 through 30. If I want to find my integral, I can go over now and I can recall the function that I've just entered. So that's my y1. And notice I could have multiple functions. So I could have just on the face screen there, I could have 10 functions working with, and I can play around accordingly depending on how complicated your calculation becomes. So put my y1 inside there. Then I put my x, because I'm integrating with respect to x, hit enter, and that will give me my value from the integral from 0 to 1, we're calling y1. So that completes my presentation. Looking at a very, very basic function here, we have y equal to x4 minus 2x cubed minus 13x squared plus 14x plus 24. Now notice it doesn't matter how complicated the function gets, the same rule applies to finding the max, min, zeros, derivative, integral, depending on the situation. So again, you can check me out at Dunn's Tutoring Services. Good. That's my website there. That's my contact information. And today, again, we did our presentation on calculator etiquette. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and there are many more videos to come. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we trying to move the world forward, okay, through mathematics. Thank you. Have a phenomenal day.